Okay, guys, you should have gotten your game about this far. There should be a soccer ball and a foot on the screen now, but nothing's moving on screen, and I can't do any keyboard input at this point in time because I haven't set a velocity for either one of these sprites, and I don't have any way of checking to see whether keys are being held down each time the timer goes off. I can set up an event with the scene to see if a key gets pressed or released, but that's not as helpful as it sounds in a game-based environment because I want to be checking when the timer goes off if a key is being held down in order for the foot to move. If a key is down, the foot should move, and if a key is not down, the foot should not move. To do that, I'm going to add a class to my engine package because we would use this in all kinds of games, and I'm going to call it the KeyPoll class. It doesn't need to extend anything. It's going to be a very simple class. And all it needs to do is remember whether a key is being held down or not. In order to remember whether keys are being held down, we're going to use something called a hash set. And a hash set, we're going to say what kind of object are getting stored in the hash set. We're going to store key codes there because every time a key gets pressed, JavaFX will generate an event with a key code, and we just store that key code object to see whether or not our keys are being held down. Let's just call that the keyboard. And we'll say that's equal to a new hash set. When I declare it as a variable on the left side, I need to say what kind of object the hash set will hold. But on the right side, when I'm calling the constructor, Java is smart enough to figure out what to fill the angle brackets in with, so the compiler will just take care of that for me. And it makes for a little bit neater code if I don't have to repeat that there will be key codes held by this hash set. Of course, I'm going to need to import hash set, and I'm also going to need to import key code from the JavaFX scene input package. And I need to declare a couple of methods for this class. Because I really only need to keep sort of one map of the keyboard in memory, I'm going to do this class as a static class. So I'm going to say public static void key press, and I'll take a key code, not a key event. The key events will be in the other in the game class, and we'll just pass the key code generated by the event here. So key code, whatever key got pressed, and if some key gets pressed, then I'm going to say keyboard dot add key, and that should be it. Doesn't like that. Oh, yes, of course. If my methods are static, my class variable also needs to be static. All right, perfect. In a hash set, Java will only keep one copy of all any particular object. So for example, we might use the left and right keys. If I get past a left key and it's already in the hash set, there will only be one copy of it in the hash set. There won't be multiple copies of it. So if I have multiple key presses, which the computer will generate if you hold keys down, that will not create multiple copies of the key in the hash set, which is good for memory for us. And when a key gets released, we'll take the key code of the key that gets released. Again, if it's the left key, I would just want to say in my keyboard that key code is no longer being held down. That lets me know if I'm holding a key, it will be in my hash set, and if I've let go of the key, it will no longer be in my hash set. And that's the last method that we need. Public static is pressed. Let's call it is pressed, and we'll ask for a particular key code to know whether or not that key is pressed. And we can know if it's pressed if it's in the keyboard. So if the keyboard hash set contains the key, then that key is being held down right now. And that is really it. Oh, I forgot to say that this is a Boolean method, true or false as to whether or not the key is being held down. That's all I need in order to store the state of the keys. So save that and go back over to my test method, and then here's how I connect it up to my program. First of all, I need to add some events for my scene. It's best to add my keyboard events to the scene because the scene is always in focus. If you add keyboard events to a particular control on the screen, like a sprite or something like that, if the sprite doesn't have focus, they won't receive the key events, and your program might miss that I pressed a key down or something like that. But by adding them to the scene is always in focus, so I'll always catch the key press. Right, on a key press, what's going to happen? There'll be an event that will generate a key event, and I want to send that to KeyPoll dot the key press event that we just, or key press method that we just created. And what will the key code be? It will be whatever the key code from this event is. I don't know how I got so many extra brackets there. So when I press a key down, KeyPoll gets told that that particular key got pressed down. I think I'm short a bracket now. And on the scene, set on key released. E dot get code. Again, whatever key code got released, I will send the message over to the KeyPoll. This is no longer being held down, and it will take that out of the hash set. So now I have my keyboard presses connected to my KeyPoll tracking class in my game engine. How do I use them now to get the foot to move? So I want to expand this game update method a little bit. I would like to add a method here called handle keyboard, and we'll do it for the elapsed amount of time. And what I want to do with that handle keyboard method, public void handle keyboard, is be able to take a look at what keys are being held down and then respond appropriately based on what keys are being held down. For this program, I want to use the left and right arrow keys to move the foot left and right. So if I think about it, if the left key is being held down, I want the foot to move to the left, so negative x velocity. And if the right arrow key is being held down, I want the foot to move to the right, so positive x velocity. What should happen if both keys are being held down at the same time? And how do we handle that? I think the foot should stop if you have both keys pressed down at the same time or both keys released. A nice way to make that work is to go double, let's call it foot speed, and set that equal to 0. Okay. Now I'm going to check, is the left arrow key being held down? So if KeyPoll dot is pressed, and I need a key code for the left arrow key. The key codes are named pretty easily. I can just say key code dot left for the left arrow. Now, if the left arrow is being held down, then what should happen to the foot speed? I want to subtract from the foot speed 100 pixels per second. And then I want to test the right arrow. Now this is not an else if. This is a second if statement because both the left arrow and the right arrow are independent of each other, and they could both be being held down at the same time. So I'll check my KeyPoll class, and I'll ask, is pressed the key code for the right arrow? And if the right arrow is being held down, I will add to the foot speed 100 pixels per second. So the net result here is going to be, if the left arrow alone is pressed, foot speed will be negative 100. If the right arrow alone is pressed, foot speed will be plus 100. If both arrows are pressed, it will be minus 100 plus 100, which will add up to 0, which is perfect. It's exactly what I want to happen. And after I've checked my keyboard keys, I can say foot dot set x velocity equal to whatever the foot speed is. And that's the keyboard input. Okay, so I have the ball updating. The ball's updating, but it doesn't have any velocity, so it doesn't move. And now I can also say foot dot update. Add that in here as well. Elapsed time. And have the foot move according to how much time has passed. Why does it not? Oh, I have a capital I. Why does it not like elapsed time? All right, now let's just test that out. Did a bunch of stuff there. Oh, I have a whack of errors. What happened to me? Method handle keyboard is not defined. Yep, gotta spell the method names right. Okay, let's try that again. Should have noticed the error in the gutter. If I press left, foot goes left. If I press right, foot goes right. If the speed is not quite fast enough for you, which, I don't know, it felt a little bit slow, you could change the speeds. It would be good practice to create a constant here. And put that at the top of the program, so that you could change it in one place instead of having to change it in a whole bunch of places if you decide to have a different speed. Let's call that a private double foot speed and set it equal to 150 pixels per second. Try that out. It's a little more natural, I think. Natural feeling. You could do similar if you wanted to have the foot be able to move up and down as well. You could check for the up arrow key and the down arrow key, and then have a foot speed for the Y direction. Plus if the up arrow is being, plus if the down arrow is being held, and minus if the up arrow is being held. Whatever you'd like to do with that. Okay, in the next video, we're going to get that ball moving, falling according to gravity, and bouncing around the screen, bouncing off the shoe, and making sure that it doesn't leave the screen. We'll do the same thing with the foot. Right now, if I take the foot all the way to the edge of the screen, guess what? It goes off the edge of the screen. So next video, we're going to add in a little bit of the physics calculations and do things like keep things on screen where they belong. All right, see you in the next video.